Biafran, superstars, media.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. Today, I wish to present to us a man who was there as a child during the Biafran War, a man who suffered kwashiorkor as a child during the Biafran War, a man who saw his mother and sister raped and killed by the Nigerian Islamic military during the Biafran War, a man who was there when the Red Cross bring food. His father would send them to line up and get some soup with Gary Gabon from the Red Cross, only for him on his way to be stopped by the same old evil Islamic Nigerian military men. They take the soup off him, drink the soup in this little boy's presence, and if he's lucky enough, they give him the Gary to take into the bush, because they know that the parents of those children are in the bushes, hoping and praying to have a square meal once every 2 days. I believe it's 2 days or every other day. Once every other day. So that's once in 2 days. This is the atrocities that Nigerian government put our people through. And this young man, as a child, he was there observing. So our brother, the Biafran golden child, will speak today on the rumor brewing around about the so-called Nigerian charade government parading about saying they've got the list of 16 Biafrans funding terrorism. And at the apex, they claim that our Prime Minister, His Excellency, Ngozi Ekpa Simon Ekpa, his own bank account was withheld in Nigeria. Very, very funny and sounds very, very stupid of them. Very foolish. But that's the kind of people we are dealing with in that shithole country, where they are ready to give a dog a bad name just to hang it. They are doing all what they can to have some evidence to forward down to Finland, because they know the deadline is the 26th of May to bring forth all their so-called evidences. At this point, I will not hold you much further, because this is not my own presentation. I will bow out of the floor and allow our brother, the Biafran golden child, to continue. Listen to the story. Listen to his own analysis of the nonsense happening in that shithole country, that godforsaken country known as Nigeria, the Niger area, the nigger area, the area of the Niger, the area where the niggers happily do well, as named and described by a prostitute known as Flora Shaw in one of her books. Fellow Biafrans, without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child, the real Biafran golden child, not that idiot out there who is parading himself as the Biafran child, an imbecile, not that fool, but the real one who was there as a child, firsthand, saw what happened during the Biafran War. Had kwashiorkor, almost died of kwashiorkor, but we thank God that the Red Cross were there, and the Irish, they were there to propagate the news. And today he's here to tell his story. Fellow Biafrans, without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're hearing my voice from. This is the Biafran Superstar Media, and once again, I have the pleasure and excited to, you know, interact with us. Yeah, today's audio is a very important one. Yeah, because it is one that affects the heartbeat of United States of Biafra. It is one that affects, the soul of the struggle for the redeclared United States of Biafra. It is one that touches, you know, every Biafran, every peace-loving, law-abiding Biafran, freedom-loving Biafran in a very, very special way. And what is this audio? You might ask. Why am I particular that this audio is very, very important this morning? Why do I feel that all Biafrans, all, freedom lovers should hear this video? The truth about it is that this video, this audio this morning, you know, is a very painful one because it can show to the extent, the Nigerian government can go just, to blackmail and to contradict and to, in any way, in any way, convict our vulnerable, you know, you know, young, ebullient Prime Minister Simon Ekpa in Choko. Ladies and gentlemen, this week, before the end of last week, an audio went out, a message went out, viral message that has touched, virtually gone wild, in which the federal government, came out bluntly, boldly, making, revelations, quote and unquote, that declare that our able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa Joko actually had, accounts even within Nigeria with which he was financing, you know, terrorists, and all sorts of negative people. In fact, the claim was that federal government actually, brought out accounts, designated accounts, which they claimed was owned by none other than Simon Ekpa and his acolytes. These accounts, they say, were opened within Nigeria, and Simon Ekpa was using this account, to foist and to orchestrate all manner of terrorism, all manners of wickedness, brigandage, and kidnapping and assault within Nigeria, especially the southeast. They published several names, several accounts, and claim that yes, this is actual, names and accounts belonging to Simon Ekpa and his acolytes. And yes, the federal government has finally gotten there. And of course, they are forwarding all this down to Finland to accelerate, the charges they have made against our able, our venerable, and highly articulated Prime Minister Simon Ekpa Joko. So, ladies and gentlemen, this audio this morning is vehemently opposed to such a flagrantly fake and misleading, calculated to disparage the personality and the conduct and the integrity of our able Prime Minister. We shall never let this go unnoticed. We shall never let the Nigerian government continue to disparage and, give our able Prime Minister a bad name just because they want the Finland authorities to prosecute him, to have reasons, to convict him of felony. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you're listening to me, but I think let's just listen. Let's listen first of all and see what the federal government is saying. Let's listen to this their charade, this blackmail, this cheap blackmail, this obvious fake and misleading, informations which they claim they have, been able to gather against our prime minister. They tout it as yes, this is the final nail on Simon Ekpa's coffin. That's what they're saying. Finally, finally, we now know how to nail him. We have discovered his account. We have discovered his phone numbers. We have seen all those who are working with him to finance terrorists, to finance arsonists, to finance all manner also of negativism within Nigeria, especially within the southeast. They said, this is it. This is it. We have it now on authority. Simon Ekpa was actually, a Finland-based financer of terrorists and terrorism. This is a very sad one, and I thought this should take, a very important place this morning, in the minds of every Biafran, every freedom lover. So please, let's pay attention once again. Like we say in Biafra Superstars Media, we'll call a spade, not an agricultural instrument, but anything that hurts any fellow, any Biafran hurts every one of us. In Biafra, Superstars Media, in the United States of Biafra, I already declared the United States of Biafra, we insist that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. We will not tolerate it. Nobody should give a dog a bad name just because you want to kill that dog. We will not tolerate it. We will not approve it. And we will fight vehemently to oppose lies, flagrant lies that cannot stand the test of day. Yes, that's what we do. That's what we're up to. As far as the Biafra Superstar Media is concerned, we will not tolerate, this government of the junta painting our prime minister black. It's not enough that they have cried, crucify him, when the Finnish authorities arrested him and are interrogating him. It's not enough that they were celebrating here, clinking champagne, calling the Finnish authorities to extradite Simon Ekpa. As soon as they heard he was arrested. But to God be the glory. We know, the presidency of Alexander Stubbs is not, a third world country. It's not a country where Finland is not a country where, the rule of law, fundamental rights of individuals are jettisoned for all manners of wickedness and political insensitivity, like the junta called Nigeria, like the zoo called Nigeria. We are mighty proud that Finland is one of the countries. The EU countries that signed treaties ensuring and propagating and duly confirming that every rights and privileges, human rights and privileges of individuals, no matter how highly placed, no matter the level of attacks, no matter the level of suspicions, every individual will be deemed as innocent until proved guilty. That is where the Finnish authorities have shown Nigeria that really we are a different species of human beings. In our country, we uphold the rules of law. We've said we know that everybody, no matter the level of accusations, must prove themselves right or wrong. They must prove if they are guilty or not guilty. And so Simon Ekpa has been undergoing trial, and I'm happy investigations are ongoing. And of course, they have discovered that the gentleman, was a peaceful protester who, did nothing but, bring the awareness, create the awareness of the plight of his people, the Biafrans, the Igbos in the southeast of Nigeria. Simon Ekpa came up to say, enough is enough of this brutality against the Igbos. Enough is enough of this subjugation of the Igbos. Enough is enough of making the Igbos feel they are not part of this country called Nigeria. Enough is enough. My people paid every blood. They spilled blood. They paid every sweat. They sweated to make sure this country that was amalgamated in 1914, was eventually granted independence in 1960. My people, the Southeast, worked assiduously, tremendously, daily, day by night, to make sure that the independence of this country was guaranteed. And so to treat them like a defeated people, to treat them like a pariah people, to treat them like slaves would not be accepted. That is the wrong that Simon Ekpa did. That is with the reason Simon Ekpa was arrested and is now being called a terrorist, a financer of terrorist organization. Of course, that will not deter us. That will not in any way intimidate us. We at Biafra Superstars Media, we say it as it is, with no ox guard, no fear of favor. We create the awareness that personalities such as our able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa deserve their respect, deserve, to be allowed, to document what they are doing in a free and fair, justified country where the fairness of justice, justice, equity, and fairness will be the three pillars of justice. Equity and fairness will be totally and completely respected. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what the federal government was. They orchestrated. This was their plans to ridicule and to put our able prime minister in a bad light within, the tenets of the Finnish authorities. But they will not succeed because we have it from the grapevine. Yes, our able prime minister has spoken. Simon Ekpa has spoken But there's no such thing as an account I have in Nigeria. I and my family have left Nigeria a long time ago. How can I be running an account, in Nigeria when I'm not there? How can you say this? Who are these people you are mentioning? I don't know them. You're calling people who say are my acolytes, my associates, and my co-financiers. You're calling names, giving account numbers that are strange to my ears. How far can the Nigerian government descend? How low can they descend just because they want to rubbish, just because they want to convict, just because they want the Finnish authorities, to destroy the image of Simon Ekpa in Joko. They want to accelerate the justice process in Finland with fake orchestrated, you know, uh, uh, fake accounts and fake information, hoping that it would in any way, enhance their plot to destroy everything good, everything positive, everything concerning our able Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa Joko. They will never succeed. And so, ladies and gentlemen, it was with heart filled with bitterness and anguish that I want to read what the federal government, has been telling the whole world, using their fake machinery of government, using their so-called apparatus of investigations to conjecture and to conjure fake bank accounts, fake names, fake telephone numbers, which they credit to none other than our able Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa Joko. In case you've not heard, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know, on March 6th, 2025, the federal government of Nigeria has designated Finland-based separatist agitator Simon Ekpa as a terrorism financier. The Nigerian Sanctions Committee, NSC, an independent body chaired by the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, declared Ekpa and other individuals terrorist financiers on Thursday. The other individuals include Awo Udechukwu, Godstime Promise Iyare, John Anayo Onwumere, Chukwuka Godwin Eze, Francis Chukwuedo Madabuchi, Edwin Augustine Chikwedo, Chiwendu Joy Owo, Ginika Jane Oji, Mercy Ebere Ifeoma Ali, Ohabu Nneka Juliana, Eze Chibuike Okpoto, and Mobi Henry. It also declared the Lakorawa sect a terrorist group and terrorist financer. Mhm. Yeah. So you can recall, everybody, according to what the government is saying, recall that Ekpa, alongside four others, was arrested in November 2024 by the Finnish authorities on suspicion of involvement in terrorism-related offenses, including incitement to violence and terrorism financing. Yes, according to the committee, Ekpa, who resides at Kopokatu 6A, 6B, zip 15140, Leti, Finland, with international passport number FP 2927082, facilitated at least 49 fundraisers in different countries between October 2023 and September 2024. It claimed that through his social media platforms, particularly X, he ordered attacks on government buildings, military bases, and paramilitary posts across southeastern Nigeria. These attacks reportedly resulted in significant loss of lives, including security personnel and civilians, as well as widespread destruction of government and public property. Yes, they said born on March 21st, 1985. His known contact numbers include +35 80 355 5858. Yes, and 0806 389 2983. Awo Udechukwu, born on December 11, 1978, was declared a terrorist financer and identified as the commander of Eastern Security Networks, ESN. Authorities allege that he received direct funding from Simon Ekpa Joko to finance the group's activities. His first bank account number, 30 60 144 916, was cited as a major financial channel. God's Time Promise Iyare, born on May 20th, 1996, was identified as a key figure in local fundraising activities supporting terrorism. Authorities traced his involvement through the United Bank for Africa UBA account 221-2655-105-102, which was allegedly used to collect funds from supporters in Nigeria. Security agencies also discovered that his mobile phone number was linked to the national identity numbers name of two other individuals, Chukwemeka Iyare and Helen Ubomo Loveland Iyare. John Anayo Onwumere, born on March 5, 1987, was identified for using a Sterling Bank account 0026 224269 to receive funds from IPOP supporters. Chukwuka Godwin Eze, born on May 5, 1975, was named for operating an Access Bank account 0108595489 that allegedly served as a collection point for contributions from members of a group identified as Udumegu State de facto and Urobo Esako State de facto. Francis Chukwedo Madabuchi, born on September 27, 1987, was also listed. Investigators reported that his money point account 819606258 received donations from members of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. Edwin Augustine Chikwedo, born on May 27, 1983, whose Flutterwave account 9461730 was allegedly used to channel funds for terrorist activities. Chinwendu Joy Owo, born on February 10, 1982, was accused of helping to organize financial contributions within Nigeria through a money point account 64748762249. Dineka Jane Audrey, born on October 5, 1995, was also placed on the sanctions list. Opay account 8039231985 was reportedly used to collect funds from IPOB members in local chapters across Nigeria. In line with Section 54 of the Terrorism Prevention and Provisions Act 2022, the government directed banks and other financial services providers to identify and freeze all assets owned, controlled, or associated with the designated individuals and groups. This includes funds and accounts owned jointly or indirectly by them, as well as those managed on their behalf by third parties. It further urged businesses and other institutions to monitor transactions for any links to the sanctioned individuals and report any findings to the Nigerian Sanctions Committee. Yes, and of course they refused to show the email, but they quickly said you can report via, email, which they refused to project. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, you can imagine the extent this government can go, just because they want to, kill, they want to destroy, they want to convict Simon Ekpa. You can imagine the extent this government is ready to go, sponsoring all kinds of fallacies, conjuring numbers, creating accounts that have no reality, that have no trace to reality. In fact, a lot of people have told us how they keyed on those bank accounts, the same number they, projected for our Simon, able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, and of course, different names came up. The accounts didn't show any relationship with Simon Ekpa, nor did it in any way show any trace to his, Finland address or Nigerian address. It's just unfortunate what these people can do. It's unfortunate what the Nigerian government can do. All they are trying to achieve with all this negative propagation, with all these false claims and, conjurings of numbers and accounts, is strictly only, to convey, to destroy the image and to give the Finnish authorities the impression, yes, that truly and really, able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa was actually the financer of terrorism, was actually involved in terrorism offenses, was actually, the one responsible for kidnappings, for body harvestings, and all that. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be ignorant of the devices of the enemy. And I want to make it abundantly clear to every one of us here that no matter what the federal government of Nigeria does, no matter what they are doing to garner fake and unprovable account numbers, phone numbers, and you know names and whatever they think they can use to nail our able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa down and his so-called associates, they have failed woefully. Finland authorities are not people who, they are not small boys. They are not people who don't investigate thoroughly. They are not people you just tell anything and they accept it hook, line, and sinker. No, these are people who are very, very technical, very, very respectful of the rule of law, who take every rights and privileges of individuals very seriously. We want to make it abundantly clear that this so-called zoo governance, this so-called zoo country, this country that our dear late Chinua Achebe described as there was a country. There was a country at one point in time. We want to make it clear to the Nigerian authorities that listen, Simon Ekpa is a responsible, respectable, and highly dignified gentleman who, for you know, who for every intent and purpose was, a peaceful protester who was clamoring for, you know, a, a, an improvement in life of his people, who brought, the plight of the Biafrans of Southeast, to the glare, full glare of foreign authorities who told the whole world how the Southeast people, how the Igbos, how the Biafrans were suffering. And of course, that was what he did. And he said, look, if you're not ready, if you're not ready to reduce the burden of my people, if you're not ready to take them into this country as part and parcel of this country, if you don't want to recognize what they did for Nigeria and how they paid their price since the amalgamation of this country between 1914 up to this period of independence, 1960. If you don't want to respect our people, then obviously, let them go. Let them go. That is what Simon Ekpa represented. That is where we are. That is where I belong to. That is how it should be. And I find it highly incredulous, very, very perturbing, very, very perturbing that this kind of country, this kind of people would go to this extent to fabricate, to conjecture, to do the abracadabra and begin to call Simon Ekpa, a bank account holding individual in Nigeria, a bank account holding terrorism financer in Nigeria. And of course, calling all these names, which they claim are people who work hand in hand with Simon Ekpa and Joko. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow freedom lovers, we will not take this lightly. I'm happy even our able uh, Prime Minister Simon Ekpa has told his authorities, told his attorneys, even from detention in Finland. I'm surprised to see these account numbers. I'm surprised to hear these names. I don't know these people. I don't have this account. There's no account that is traceable to me in Nigeria whatsoever. I mean, who is this Simon Ekpa that they are conjecturing? Who is this Simon Ekpa that they are labeling? It can't be me. It will never be me. I have never sponsored any terrorism acts. I've never in any way, compromised my image as a respectable, Finland citizen. I'm a man who believes in the rule of law. I'm a man who wants justice and equity for my people. I will never in any way, make life unbearable for them by any means. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. I believe as time goes, almost other facts will be unfolding. We'll see that whoever, or whatever group, whoever the individuals, whatever organizations that are the ones who are, creating these fake accounts, creating these fake narratives, taking people, trying to get, the Finland authorities to go through this trajectory, will definitely fail. They have failed already. They have failed already. They have failed. They have totally failed. Ladies and gentlemen, that should be it for now. Look closely, listen closely, and be sure nobody deceives you. Yes, let it be a case of the more you know, the less you see. They have continued, they are looking for ways. It irritates them that Finnish authorities have not, agreed by any means to extradite Simon Ekpa back to Nigeria. It shocks them that all this while, when they thought following the arrest in Finland in November 2024, when they thought, of course, there's no way that they redeclared the United States of Biafra will be redeclared. It shocked them that 2nd December 2024, our own Dr. Ngozi, Orabueze, the chief of staff of Biafra, United States of Biafra, who was duly appointed by our able Prime Minister Simon Ekpa, redeclared the sovereign United States of Biafra. It shocked them. And of course, we can see that, yes, the shame is on them. Yes, ever since then, they thought arresting Simon Ekpa would whittle down and completely eradicate anything Biafra agitation. But they are shocked that instead of eradication, instead of in any way, belittling the Biafra experience of Biafra agitation, it seems to have accelerated it. It seems to have added impetus to it, because our able Deputy Prime Minister, Ngozi Orabueze, Doctor, has continued in the same vein, vigorously pursuing what is duly, the United States of Biafra. They redeclared the United States of Biafra. It shocks them. Yes, it even shocked them the most when the 47th president of the U.S., Donald Trump invited Dr. Ngozi Orabueze to his inauguration. Yes, they were shocked to the bones that their own president was not involved. Their own president was not invited. How can Donald Trump pick out Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, Deputy Prime Minister of Biafra? How do you think they felt? Of course, they felt betrayed. They felt ashamed, and they felt let down. More shame will be coming to them. More shame will be coming to them. More shame will be coming to them, because the United States of Biafra is a reality. It's a reality that must be going, that will keep going, and that will go places all around the world. Recognitions keep coming. Our foreign attorneys are working, and by the grace of God, very soon, our able Prime Minister will join us. And together with our Deputy Prime Minister, yes, Ngozi Orabueze, they will take the United States, they will declare the United States of Biafra to the highest level, where it will raise its heads in the Committee of Nations all around the world. Let's look forward to that day. But what do you do, my dear? What do you add to it? Let all hands on deck, man, woman. Let us support them vigorously. Let us ensure that we think Biafra, we drink Biafra, we breathe Biafra, and we sleep Biafra. Only that way can we add our own token, our own support to the redeclared United States of Biafra. God bless you all. Thank you. God bless United States of Biafra. Thank you.
Biafra must be restored, for there is nothing the enemies can do about it. You brought Biafra that light may come into Africa. You gave us hope because we are in a continent of hopelessness. And by thy grace, Biafra shall be restored. We shall be resurrected. We shall crown our efforts with the glory by the grace of the Most High Himself. We are not strong. We do not pretend to be strong. All we do is to submit ourselves to your will, that your will may be done upon our lives. We have lost many people. We have lost so many good people. Their sacrifice will never be forgotten. We shall honor them, and for their sake Biafra will come. Because we are wandering all over the world, hoping against every hope that things will turn around for the better. It has never turned around for the better. Instead, it is getting worse. Please do not abandon your children. You have given us a commission, and we must accomplish it in our lifetime. Our enemies are equally important because they must listen. Those who do not love the truth must listen. Those who are beholden to darkness, they must also listen. For we are here to bring light upon a very darkened continent without Biafra. Africa is nothing without Biafra. There is no difference between a black man and a wild animal in the forest. We say everywhere with every ounce of conviction. I welcome each and every one of you. If you're joining us for the very first time, this is Radio Biafra. This is how we do it. We magnify the name of the Most High before we do anything. That is why we are exceptionally formidable. That is why